folks, we have been covering this story for years. In fact, the first episode of Roland Martin Unfiltered, we talked about Crystal Mason, what she has endured in Texas. This started in 2016. That's how long this case has been going on. When she tried to vote in the election, she, bottom line is, didn't realize that she could not vote. Folks, they have been pursuing her to send her to prison since 2016. Late last night, the Texas Second Court of Appeals acquitted Crystal Mason, and she was facing 5 years in prison for that conviction. She and her attorney, Kim Cole, join us right now. Crystal, free at last.
Yes. Yes.
What was your reaction when you got news of the appeals court? Because they heard it a year ago. So you've been waiting for this decision for a year, and it came down late last night.
Yes. When I heard the news from my attorney, ACLU, gave me a call, I was overwhelmed, filled with joy, just thanking God for carrying me through this long 7 years. This journey was very rough. And I'm just so grateful right now. I'm just thanking God every step of the way, because I know this wouldn't happen if it wasn't from him. So that's where I'm at. I'm just so grateful right now. I'm so thankful for all the support that I have had on this journey. Thank you, Roland Martin. Thank you for covering my story every time you had a chance. Thank you.
Kim, absolutely. I mean, look, it was a case that it was nuts from day one. And the stuff that they put you through. And for people who don't know, you were out, you had served time in federal prison, you were out, and as a result of this, you had to go back to federal prison as a parole violation, correct?
Correct. As a supervised release violation, yes. My supervised release in my trial in 2018, he testified on the stand and said, no, we never told her she couldn't vote. No, she never signed anything. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. I came out and been productive in society, raising my business, my kids and everything. And I went to fill out a provisional ballot because I believe I had the right to vote. And I was sentenced to 5 years. And from that, the Judge McBride determined that I should go to prison because I caught a new offense. And they sent me back to prison for 10 months and gave me another 24 months on supervised release.
So you were on supervised release. You have to go back in for 10 months. Then they added 2 years to that.
Correct, yes.
And so, again, you had a job, you had a home. So now it completely disrupts your life. You come out, and then when you come out, Tarrant County is still trying to pursue you.
Correct. Absolutely.
Kim, here's what, again, it just befuddled me from the beginning. That her ballot actually was never cast, correct?
It was never counted.
Right. It was never counted.
No.
But it was like, I mean, these prosecutors in Tarrant County, they took such a hardcore position. It was like, no. We gonna make an example out of this black woman.
Well, Roland, that's what the prosecutor said in his summation at the trial. He specifically requested that the judge send a message to the voters and to sentence Crystal to a stern prison sentence. Roland, make no mistake, the court's ruling today could have been made years ago. It could have been made in that courtroom the same day she went to trial. The judge ruled that the evidence presented in Crystal's case did not add up to her knowing that she was not eligible to vote. We've been saying that the whole time, Roland. Have we not?
Yeah.
We didn't know. She did not know. She said that on the stand that day. Their own witnesses, as Crystal said, the supervisor over the region of the Federal Bureau of Prisons testified on the stand. This was their witness. He testified, we never told her anything.
So he testifies, we never told her. She doesn't know, and they're like, damn that. We're sending her to prison.
It was to send a message, Roland. Tarrant County is one of the largest. Matter of fact, I believe it's the only urban red district in this country.
Yep.
And their motto is to keep Tarrant County red. Period. It doesn't matter if an innocent woman has to go to jail. They had an agenda, and they wanted to send a message to the voters of Tarrant County. That's what the DA specifically requested. But Roland, what they got, the message that was sent wasn't the message that was received.
Mm-hmm.
It ignited a fire in Crystal, and she, as well as almost every member of her family now, are deputized to register people to vote.
There you go. Crystal, how did it make you feel when we kept seeing these stories, like this one right here, where a Georgia Republican Party official voted illegally 9 times, and all he got was a $5,000 fine?
It saddened me that you actually had people that really committed crimes. You actually had people that actually voted. You have people that voted twice, 2, 3 times up under somebody else's name, and yet they were looked over. So I know exactly what the purpose was.
Yeah, I mean, here's the NBC story. Brian Pritchard, first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party and a conservative talk show host, was fined $5,000 for voting illegally and registering to vote while serving a sentence for a felony conviction. Pritchard was also ordered not to commit further violations, to face public reprimand for his conduct, and to pay the state elections board investigative costs. They basically did this here. For you, this man voted 9 times.
Huh.
For you, it didn't even count. They said, stick this woman in prison.
Roland, you don't even have to look to Georgia. In the same county, there was a judge who forged signatures to get his name on the ballot in Tarrant County. And he got off with probation.
Wow.
Same county. And let's not forget, this is the same county where the affluenza teen case came out of. A young man committed several crimes, stole alcohol, stole a vehicle, killed 4 people, and got off with probation.
And Crystal, you were in 2016. What Kim was talking about, go to my iPad. That judge, that happened 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Unbelievable. So Kim, is it all over? Or
No, it's not over. It's not over. Oh no.
Is
They must. Oh, you talking about the criminal case?
No, right. The criminal case.
Okay. The criminal
Now,
case.
can Tarrant County appeal this decision?
They can. They better not. Because they did that before. They made the wrong decision years ago when we first appealed it, right? We had to appeal their decision. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals came back and said, yeah, you might want to take a second look at that because that's not what the law says. The law says that she has to know that she's not eligible to vote. And they upheld her conviction, saying that it was enough that she knew that she was on supervised release. That doesn't even make any sense. Who doesn't know their own circumstances?
Right.
That's silly. So that's the standard they applied. So the Court of Criminal Appeals sent it back down. They remanded it back to the Second Court of Appeals who made their ruling last night. They sent it back and said, you guys might want to take a second look at this because you applied the wrong interpretation of the statute. Even though the statute clearly says that the person commits the offense if they vote in an election or attempt to vote in an election, which the person knows that he or she is not eligible to vote.
You said
it's in there.
You
it
said
says the person has to know.
You said this is not over. What's next for y'all?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Tarrant County cost Crystal and her family years of, I would almost call it a terroristic act. She was a political prisoner for a while because she had to go back to prison.
Yep.
And this was all behind a political ploy. So Tarrant County owes Crystal Mason.
And y'all going to sue the county?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Crystal, there was a brother in Houston who voted in 2020. He waited 6 hours in line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They arrested him. Mm-hmm. He was found hadn't done anything wrong. He said this year, I'm not voting again. He was so traumatized by that. He says, I'm not voting again. Ron DeSantis in Florida had the cops arrest a number of formerly incarcerated people. And all of those cases were legally voting. And all of those, they were told they could vote. And every single one of those cases were thrown out. Do you believe that this is an effort by Republicans in Texas and Florida and elsewhere to send a chilling effect and to scare any person, but especially any black person who had previously served time in prison or jail?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it was. It was to take a mother with kids to jail in the black and the brown community for again, who encouraged you to go vote? Your mother, your grandmother. They instill that in you. So, of course, that's exactly what they did, because that would make somebody say, oh, no, I'm not going to go vote, and I can possibly go to jail, leave my kids, my family. So that's exactly what they did. And I'm just grateful for the outcome, to let people know that don't let my story, took 7 long years, but don't let my story discourage you, but encourage you to go to the polls, because our votes matter.
Finally, this criminal aspect is over. How are you going to celebrate?
Oh, wow. Right now, I'm just trying to take it in. Like, I'm still shocked. I couldn't sleep last night. I woke up early this morning calling Kim, and I'm just overwhelmed. Like, it's hit me, but it hadn't really hit me, like, wow, that I'm really done. I'm off of an appeal bond that I've been on for 6 years. I'm off. Wow.
And are you completely done with your federal requirements?
Yeah, I've been done with that, yes.
Well, Kim, Crystal, y'all let us know when you drop that damn lawsuit against Tarrant County, because we absolutely will have you on, because they deserve to be sued, because their actions were beyond despicable. And every single prosecutor involved in this, shame on them.
Will do, Roland. This was malicious, and we absolutely will let you know.
All right.
Thank you for following this from beginning to end.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
We're going to go to a break. We'll chat with our panel about this. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go to my panel. Matt, I'll start with you. If there's anybody, Matt, who should be targeted in re-election, is this man right here. This is Phil Sorrells. He is the district attorney for Tarrant County. Every black person in Tarrant County should be campaigning against this man, because he could have easily said, y'all, enough is enough. Listen, we messed it up, but bottom line is she went to federal prison for 10 months on a violation. Why in the hell are we trying to pursue 5 damn years for a ballot that never even got counted?
Yeah, they should definitely primary him. And I'm really glad that this story came up today. because just yesterday I got an opinion from my local court of appeals where I lost an appeal that I'm going to take up. But I wanted to tell the viewers that it's extremely difficult to win on appeal, especially in the second court of appeals, which is there over Tarrant County. It's one of the most conservative in the whole state. So what happens on appeal most of the time is the judges on appeal are looking to see whether the judge below made a mistake. And what I'm so happy that Ms. Cole mentioned is that, you know, they actually lost on appeal at the first level. Now in Texas, we have two Supreme Courts essentially. We have one that's all civil called the Texas Supreme Court and one that is all criminal called the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. So what's important about this is the highest level criminal court in the state of Texas said that they used the wrong law and the evidence was insufficient. They sent it back, and the lower court of appeals found the right decision. What's so remarkable about that is it's very, very difficult to win on appeal. What's also remarkable about this is that there was ever a conviction. This is a case every day of the week. A prosecutor who has their eyes open should recognize not only could they not prove this case, but they don't have the requisite evidence that she didn't know. And obviously the testimony corroborated that. And what's scary about this is if they want to make a political statement, they can completely sacrifice all decency and just run you through the ringer as they did her. Now, I'm glad to hear that her attorney said the word malicious, because what I thought is the way this lawsuit will likely be brought is a malicious prosecution lawsuit and or a selective enforcement lawsuit under the 14th Amendment, because it's pretty clear that in this very county, you have other people who have engaged in the same alleged conduct who have not received anything punitive at all, let alone punitive to this extent. So hopefully they're successful in that lawsuit. And I'll tell you, those are difficult lawsuits considering all the immunities that prosecutors and judges have. But the larger principle is, you know, one, they climbed the mountain and they won an extremely difficult case that they should never have had to be a part of. But two, it's scary that despite all our systems of checks and balances and purported rule of law following, if they want to get you and they're out to get you, they will do what they can to get you. And that's what happened in this case. And I'm glad she had a formidable team that fought for her and won against all odds at the appeal.
I mean, this was absolutely malicious prosecution in every regard, Kelly. I mean, it just made no sense. I mean, literally, the man testifies, we never instructed her that she could not vote. She did not know. They were like, yeah, whatever.
No, I have to remember what exactly was happening exactly 8 years ago, right? Not necessarily to the day, but what was happening 8 years ago. We were in the middle of yet another election, and Trump was on the ballot for the first time. And if you recall, and I'm sure you do, there was already hints in the air of possibly, you know, prosecuting people for, you know, false ballots and trying to vote fraudulently and the like. And this case, to me, makes it abundantly clear that she was used incorrectly as an example for the right to feel validated in their response to fraudulent voting, and why Black people need to have restrictive access to voting, right? So now that the fire has somewhat sort of died just a little, just enough for this to more or less slide under the radar. If it weren't for your show, she would be free, and frankly, nobody would know about it because it's not necessarily being covered. So that's my perspective on this. This was a purely political move on behalf of Tarrant County. I agree with I believe Matt said something along the lines of this. The DA for Tarrant County needs to be primaried because this needs to be in the face of every voter, not just Black voters, but white voters, Hispanic voters, Asian voters, any voter in that county. Because if anything, that DA has made it clear that it's not just Black people who are on the line for having their rights taken away. It appears to be that if you are against any of his ideologies at all, if you are against any GOP ideology at all, he will try to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law, unnecessarily so. He will attack you until he can attack no more. And that's what we are seeing with this woman here, Crystal Mason. Thankfully, that leg of the process is over and she can get her just due in civil court.
This, Michael, would make me a one-issue voter. I don't give a damn about anything else. Take his ass out at the ballot box. Take this man, Phil Sorrells, out at the ballot box. And if he chooses not to run and retires, and any of his other people, and they were involved in this decision, take their asses out too.
Absolutely, Roland. We have to understand why people suppress our vote, especially Republicans. They fear our vote, and Republicans fear our vote oftentimes more than we value our vote. And this is why I've said before numerous times on your show, we have to stop telling African Americans to exercise your right to vote. If you want to exercise, you go to the gym and work out. You vote for power. You vote for black power. And historically, you've had in these former Confederate states, they've put impediments in the way of the 15th Amendment because they feared African Americans voting these people out of office and having political power. In the 1940s in Texas, they had what were called all-white primaries. The Democratic Party was given power by the state legislature to have all-white primaries and exclude African Americans from the primaries. This led to the U.S. Supreme Court case in 1944 of Smith versus Allwright that was won by Thurgood Marshall on behalf of Lonnie E. Smith, and the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that all-white primaries were unconstitutional. So there's a deep history of this in Texas. And then when you talked about the article from NBCnews.com, Brian Pritchard, first vice chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, a judge ruled that he voted illegally 9 times. Now, this is the same guy who spread claims of widespread voter fraud in the stolen election in 2020. And this guy voted illegally 9 times. You can't make this stuff up. This is why these people have to be defeated each time at the ballot box, including in 2024. This is about self-preservation.
Absolutely. And again, this woman, I mean, just imagine you serve time in federal prison, you get out, you're on supervised released, you're with your family, you're in a home, you got a job, and then this happens, and then they go, oh, no, you got to go back to federal prison. 10 months. Added 2 years. Then when she gets out of federal prison, they still pursue her to throw her in state prison. I mean, it is beyond me. And I'm telling you, Matt, I mean, every black person and every person of conscience in Tarrant County should be completely motivated in the next election to say, Phil got to go.
Yeah, I'm with you completely. I mean, it's abhorrent what they did to her, and what's so sad about it is, frankly, I think they probably thought, look, she's a felon from having been in the federal system, and one, she's a black woman, so we know that they were targeting her, right? And that's just what evidence shows here. But I bet they felt like they, had cover, because here, in fact, in the judge's opinion, they talked about how her prior conviction was something relating to an alleged fraud or something. So they were claiming that her testimony may not have been considered credible. But the reason that all of that is hogwash is because they had evidence from people involved in the process who testified they hadn't told her she could not vote. And what's so problematic about that is in Texas, we actually have laws that relate to the restoration of former felons' rights, but also the possession of guns. And a lot of those laws are written very nebulously. I've literally had clients come to my office before who were getting off of parole or off of supervised release, and they just could not understand whether the law empowered them to do certain things because the law is written poorly. So here, where you have evidence where they've said we did not apprise her that she could not vote, that to me would have killed it as a prosecutor. I would have said, no, well, we don't have any evidence to prove that she had the requisite intent that we need. But if you're trying to target somebody for a political purpose, then you overlook that. And that's why I'm hoping that their malicious prosecution claim will be successful, because this is as prima facie evidence as it comes, I think.
Take them out. Take them out. All right, folks, going to go to break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. They'll go anywhere.
Be sure to follow us here on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Follow us on our social media platforms as well. on Twitter and Instagram. We have the information here on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can also register for the 10-week online history course that I teach, where we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. This is a class that I created the curriculum. I've been teaching it since 2017, on and off. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So the class is discounted to $60. We're going to do about 12 class sessions, including the first session, which was the overview. We have the class lesson plan here for all 10 or 11 class sessions as well. So you can see the type of content that we cover. You can download the class lesson plans here as well. So we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We look at some ancient African civilizations, not just ancient Kemet, but also Kush, Ethiopia. We look at Great Zimbabwe. We look at Hannibal Barca and Carthage. We talk about the African Moors as well. We have a preview of the class here also. So you can register for it. Click right here to register for the class. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded, so you can go back and watch it anytime. So a year from now, 2 years from now, you have full access. You can go back and watch the entire course, okay? Our next classes are Saturday, April 6th, Saturday, April 13th, April 20th, April 27th, 2024. And we do the classes usually 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We may have one last class session after April 27th. We have to see how much we can cover, okay? But as soon as you register, you can start watching the content. And we're going to post the link right here, so you can start watching it right now as soon as you register for the class. The content is PG-13, so you can use this with your children. There are 80 to 100 articles that we reference in the class. There's like 15 books. You don't have to buy any books to follow along in class. And we talk about this here in the lesson plan. Okay, we can't start studying our history and slavery even when we study the transatlantic slave trade, which is important. We can't start in 1619 or the 1440s when the Portuguese get involved. We have to deal with hundreds of years, deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. Also deal with some of the history of the Khoisan, who go all around the world. There are 200 slides, over 200 slides that I put together in our PowerPoint presentation that we'll look at. There are 80 to 100 articles that we'll reference. So I picked out the articles. There are 15 books that we reference. So we show you excerpts of the book on the screen. You don't have to buy any of the books if you don't want to. They're good for your library if you want to. Also, we'll look at excerpts of interviews that I've done with some of our scholars, like Professor James Small, Professor Kabahai Kamene, Anthony Browder, Tony Browder, who wrote Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization and Egypt on the Potomac. We use those two books. Those are two of the books we use in the class. Also, we'll look at excerpts of interviews that I've done with Runoko Rashidi and some other scholars also. Okay, so we do the sessions live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. All right. That's Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Be sure to follow us here on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Follow us on our social media platforms as well, on Twitter and Instagram. We have the information here on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can also register for the 10-week online history course that I teach, where we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. This is a class that I created the curriculum. I've been teaching it since 2017, on and off. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So the class is discounted to $60. We're going to do about 12 class sessions, including the first session, which was the overview. We have the class lesson plan here for all 10 or 11 class sessions as well. So you can see the type of content that we cover. You can download the class lesson plans here as well. So we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We look at some ancient African civilizations, not just ancient Kemet, but also Kush, Ethiopia. We look at Great Zimbabwe. We look at Hannibal Barca and Carthage. We talk about the African Moors as well. We have a preview of the class here also. So you can register for it. Click right here to register for the class. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded, so you can go back and watch it anytime. So a year from now, 2 years from now, you have full access. You can go back and watch the entire course, okay? Our next classes are Saturday, April 6th, Saturday, April 13th, April 20th, April 27th, 2024. And we do the classes usually 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We may have one last class session after April 27th. We have to see how much we can cover, okay? But as soon as you register, you can start watching the content. And we're going to post the link right here, so you can start watching it right now as soon as you register for the class. The content is PG-13, so you can use this with your children. There are 80 to 100 articles that we reference in the class. There's like 15 books. You don't have to buy any books to follow along in class. And we talk about this here in the lesson plan. Okay, we can't start studying our history in slavery. Even when we studied the transatlantic slave trade, which is important, we can't start in 1619 or the 1440s. When the Portuguese get involved, we have to deal with hundreds of years, deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, also deal with some of the history of the Khoisan who go all around the world. There are 200 slides, over 200 slides that I put together in our PowerPoint presentation that we'll look at. There are 80 to 100 articles that we'll reference. So I picked out the articles. There are 15 books that we reference. So we show you excerpts of the book on the screen. You don't have to buy any of the books if you don't want to. They're good for your library if you want to. Also, we'll look at excerpts of interviews that I've done with some of our scholars, like Professor James Small, Professor Kabahai Kamene, Anthony Browder, Tony Browder, who wrote Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization, and Egypt on the Potomac. We use those two books. Those are two of the books we use in the class. Also, we'll look at excerpts of interviews that I've done with Renoka Rashidi and some other scholars also. Okay, so we do the sessions live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. All right. That's Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. If you want to support the African History Network, another way you can do so through, now this is the show I did deconstructing Candace Owens, the lies she was telling on the Breakfast Club. This is part 1 of the fact check. This was 2.5 hours, and we got into some deep history. I provided sources dispelling a lot of the nonsense she was talking about. Part 2, we're going to do that on Sunday, April 7th. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the African History Network show, because we're going to get into the lies that she was talking, saying that Donald Trump would be better for America. Donald Trump is better for black people, things like this. We can go through and point by point dispel all that nonsense she was talking about. Listen to the African History Network show Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. We're listen to the podcast also. It's a podcast from search for the African History Network show, or click right here, the link. We have our Cash App and PayPal information here. $, the AHN show through Cash App, $, the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay some of the bills, finance the research, finance the broadcast, etc. Pay for these services that I have to use to do these broadcasts and run the African History Network. This is our official Cash App account, $, the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to the, say, Michael, these other ones here, and it's like 5 fake African History Network Cash App accounts I've identified that they're stealing money from us. You can click here on our link. It shows our QR code. So this is our Cash App account, and we have the link here for